to dry things out and warm us up, we've got the great Dustin Schutte with us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. It's good to be back talking to you, seeing your beautiful face again.
You don't sound so happy.
You want me to do like a pirouette or something, or jump into the screen, start singing, doing something?
Well, Jim Harbaugh, the character here, bought some new khakis. It's a good day for him.
That is a good day.
Well, plus he's got them rolled up, I guess, because it's wet outside. So you got to roll those up, right?
Showing off the high waters.
That was Joe Paterno that did that, right?
Yeah, that was also a young Dustin Schutte that did that in like junior high. Not purposefully, but that's just how it was.
Fred asking, what secret project has been done? Well, if we told you, it would no longer be secret.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, Fazan. He's going to send me something from Jordan. As long as it's not a car, I'll pay for the shipping. He wakes up at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow, that's dedication.
To watch games.
Whew.
Give him a shout out, folks.
No kidding.
Zahn Masri. Heck yeah, listening to us from Jordan, but he follows everything IU basketball. Yesterday, our buddy Bob Kravitz was on from The Athletic, and he said something that is not surprising to me, but it will piss off Purdue fans, surprise some people, excite IU fans. But he says that he thinks that Indiana will go further in the NCAA tournament than Purdue. I agree with him, and I'll tell you why. And it's not because Purdue's not very formidable. They are. They're also very one-dimensional. And I think Indiana showed you that by busting their ass. It takes an effort. You're not going to win no team is going to win with their normal effort against Purdue. You have to do some things different. First of all, Zach Edey is still going to get his, but you still have to work to prevent him from getting his,
right?
While he's still getting his, if that makes sense. But then you have to do what Indiana did. You have to pressure these freshman guards, get up in their face, and everybody else. And because they're not great, they're good, but none of them are great. And that is exactly why Indiana was able to win that game. And you look at the statistics, it bears it out. I mean, at the end of the game, I think I pointed out there were 7 points scored between 4 of Purdue's top players, the 2 starting guards, Ethan Morton, and there was somebody else I threw in there. They scored a total of 7 second-half points, while Jalen Hood-Schifino scored 12 second-half points by himself. So there's that. But that's why Indiana, I think he said that because Indiana's also built better, built differently, built to take on different types of teams. You've got Trace Jackson-Davis, who is much more mobile. He is not an outside threat, but he's much more – he's much. I think he's more dangerous from with more space. Zach Edey's not going to back you down from 8 feet out. He may back you down from 4 feet out, but Trace Jackson-Davis gets the ball and he has the ability to move, to dribble, to move with the ball. Zach Edey does not, and I think that with Indiana's shooting, it's really picked up. And it has not been one person. It's been Miller Kopp. It's been Trey Galloway. It's been Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Miller Kopp, huh?
Miller Kopp has been – see, you're the same one. Hey, I can tell you one thing that has never changed on this show. When things suck, I say they suck. When things are great, I say they're great. When players are playing great, I say they're playing great. When I say when they're not playing great, I say they're not playing great. It is what it is. I report what we see. This is not a fan show. It's not I'm not here to to lie to you and make just to make your day better. But Miller Kopp has been a major part of why they have taken a level up and why they would go further in the tournament than Purdue, having a player like that. They didn't have him before. He was not Miller Kopp. He was not moving. He was not shooting. He was not opening up space for Trace in the paint. He is now, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
I think so. To the conversation that you and Bob had yesterday, I think it's very fair to say that Indiana has a good – I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Indiana will go further in the tournament than Purdue.
No, nothing is a foregone conclusion.
So I think that the thing with Purdue is they're going to create a matchup problem for anybody they play because of Zach Edey, because of his ability, because of how good he is. The question with Purdue is if Purdue's not shooting the ball well, if those guards are not shooting the ball well, then they do become very one-dimensional. We've seen at times this season where I don't want to say they've gone completely away from Edey, but there's been games when he's had 18 and 12, and they just shoot the three ball incredibly well. So they are very hit or miss. So if they get into a rhythm where they play the wrong team at the wrong time and can't shoot the ball well, then they're going to be in deep trouble, and they could have an early exit from the NCAA tournament. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. The thing I also think with Indiana is they are built in a way that can win games in the NCAA tournament no matter who they're playing. And that's because they can get out in transition. They can create turnovers. They're very good defensively. And you said this, Trace Jackson Davis can do it. He's not a jump shooter, but he has the ability to create his own opportunities because of his skill set. So he can catch the ball at the free throw line and take you to the rim. Or if he's backing you down and he draws a double team, he can find the open man and they can knock down shots. Indiana has shown I think Indiana right now is playing as hot as anybody in the country. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. And they show a lot of promise. So if they can continue to do what they've done on the defensive end, if Trace Jackson Davis continues to play like a player of the year candidate like he has, then I do think that Indiana has a shot to go further than Purdue. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. The thing that I thought was interesting about Bob's comments yesterday was that Edey has figured out the officiating. And I think that IU fans and maybe a lot of Big Ten fans are not going to like what I'm about to say.
Has he? Because he had
No. This is what I'm going to say. And I don't know how much people watch Purdue.
Purdue fans watch him plenty.
He turns other teams into jump shooting teams. You go back to that Michigan State game, and Tom Izzo complained about the officiating after that game. Well, I guess Purdue doesn't foul. Look at how many times they drove to the basket. Look at what Indiana did. They drove to the basket. They drew 3 fouls on Edey because they were aggressive, because they took it to the rack. And I'm not saying he should leave games with end games with 0 fouls. I'm not saying he doesn't foul. I'm not saying they don't miss calls. But a majority of the time, teams are so afraid to drive into the interior, drive to the basket, that they just settle for jump shots. So then you're not going to get fouled on a jump shot as much as you are if you're aggressive and taking it to the basket. So if teams in the NCAA tournament turn into jump shooting teams because they're afraid of Edey, they're not going to blow the whistle on him. If they are aggressive and attack, then they're going to draw fouls. So that's what I say. I think a lot of people look at the box score and say, well, Purdue had 10 fouls, whereas whoever it is, Illinois, Nebraska, Michigan State, they had 25. Watch the game. They're taking jump shots. That's why Purdue is not fouling, because they force teams to take jump shots, and you don't get fouled on jump shots all that often.
You have to take it to him, like you said, and not be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
The first foul drawn on Zach Edey in the Indiana game was 10 feet from the basket. It was a charge, 10 feet from the basket. Do you know why? Because the defender has to be up on him. You can't be 4 feet off of him. I don't care that he's 10 feet away. You have to pick him up where he is. Right. And I think that teams had just said, okay, we're going to let him get into a spot, settle it, and we'll try. You can't do that. You have to dictate things instead of letting them. Indiana did that, did I mean, they didn't do it the whole time. You can't do it the whole time. That's virtually impossible. I mean, he is an immovable object almost. If you haven't seen him, or if you have not been around a 7'4" athletic person in your life, you have no idea and cannot comprehend the size. I used to work next door side by side to Tree Rollins. Tree Rollins was a former player for the Atlanta Hawks back in the day, but he was a 7-footer.
Yep.
And I'm 6'1", so I'm not gigantic, but I'm like, gee whiz. I mean, the dude is big.
Yeah.
7 foot is big. A foot taller than me is big. So yeah, crazy.